Good morning, everyone. The time is 11:03, and I call this meeting to order. Mr. Saeed, can you please read the notice of the public meeting?
Chairwoman, this is a regularly scheduled meeting of the New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission's 2024 annual meeting schedule. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with the Senator Byron M. Baer Open Public Meetings Act. Notice of the meeting was provided to the Asbury Park Press, Bergen Record, Courier Post, Star Ledger, and the Trenton Times on December 12, 2023. The agenda and information regarding the in-person meeting and the ability to live stream was also posted on the CRC website. The meeting time and location has also been posted on the website of the New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission and with the Office of the Secretary of the State.
Thank you, Mr. Saeed. Can you please take roll call?
Commissioner Barker? Present. Commissioner Del Cid Coso?
Present.
Commissioner Nash?
Present.
Vice Chair Delgado?
Present.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Present.
We now have a quorum. The first order of business is for the Commission to go into executive session to discuss legal matters and litigation updates. These are discussions that are not shared with the public. We believe the executive session should take about 60 minutes.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Madam Chairwoman, I move that we go into executive session.
Second that.
Moved by Vice Chair Delgado and seconded by Commissioner Del Cid Coso. Is there any discussion on this motion to go into executive session? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes. Again, we expect the executive session to last approximately 1 hour. We will leave the live stream going on during that time. Any staff members who remain in the room will not be able to answer any questions about matters that are up for consideration today. So we can expect to resume the public session at 12:06 p.m. Thank you for your patience, everyone.
Next up on the agenda is approving the minutes of the Commission's open public session held on February 5th. Commission prior to this meeting.
Thank you. If there are no changes requested to the public session meeting minutes for the February board meeting, I will ask if there is a motion on this matter.
Madam Chairwoman, I move that we approve the approval of the prior meeting minutes.
Moved by Vice Chair Delgado. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Nash. Is there any discussion on this motion to approve the meeting minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? The motion passes.
Next item on the agenda is the Chair's report.
Thank you. Today's chair's report is going to be very brief. Well, first of all, happy Women's History Month. But as to the substance, our committees will a couple of our committees will provide some updates on the 2024 priorities that I had shared last month. And also this spring and summer, we will be dedicating some public comment periods at our board meetings to hear from the public on patient access issues and the licensing process. So stay tuned to our website for more details there. That is all that I have for today's chair's report. Are there any questions from the board? Hearing no, we will move on.
Next item on the agenda is the Executive Director's report.
Director Brown, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chairwoman. So today, I'm going to cover a number of things: licensing update, some additional statistics, and then also an update on sales and pricing in the market. couple of the slides going to ping pong back and forth with Director McWhite. So we can start off with the licensing update. So to date, there's been 2,413 applications submitted. Of those 2,413, 1,800 have been approved. There are 103 applications under review currently in the Office of Licensing. There are 322 applications are pending resubmission following a cure, and 163 are under review in the Office of Compliance and Investigations. New businesses continue to open. There's now more than 100 medicinal and recreational dispensaries open in 20 out of 21 counties in New Jersey. This list grows every day and every week. I'm also very encouraged. We're starting to see new cultivators open up, new manufacturers open up. I think 2024 is going to be the year of really seeing additional cultivation capacity, more product diversity, more competitive pricing, both true from the on the cultivation side and the manufacturing side. So when we look at the approvals, those include, that's the 1,800 applications that have been approved, 1,356 conditionals, 288 conditional to annual conversions, 157 annuals, and 70 expanded ATCs. Those last three numbers all are operating licenses. So once a facility gets that award, they just need to pass an inspection and then they get a license. And we have, when we look at those operating licenses, there's 219 operating licenses issued. So that's 219 licenses that are operating in New Jersey right now. Next slide, please. And with this, I'm going to pass it over to Director McWhite. As the chair mentioned, it is Women's History Month, so we wanted to provide an update on progress related to women-owned businesses in New Jersey's market.
Thank you, Director Brown. Good afternoon to the chair and the board. Really excited I'm always excited to be here, right? So really excited to share with you some updated numbers in honor of Women's History Month. To quote one of Commissioner Del Costo's favorite quotes by Laurel Thatcher Ulrich, well-behaved women seldom make history, and the data is evidence and clear that women are making history in the cannabis space and ancillary space here in New Jersey. So this first graph, board-approved majority-owned businesses. We continue to see good representation among licensed types that have been approved by the board that are majority women-owned businesses. Conversions continue to climb, which is good. We're starting to see more businesses, women-owned businesses, applying for conversion, who will ultimately end up in the market. For Graph 2, this includes licenses currently operating. This does include expanded ATCs. The highest number, as you can see, of currently operating New Jersey women-owned cannabis businesses are retailers, while one woman-owned in manufacturer and 7 cultivators are currently operating. But we are encouraged with the number of conversions and conditionals that we see, understanding that number will continue to grow as folks start to open. Graph 3, 36%, really want to narrow in on the annual licenses. 36% of our annual licenses have been awarded to majority women-owned businesses in New Jersey, while according to MJ Biz Daily's 2023 post-pandemic survey, women ownership of cannabis companies slid to 16% this year from an average of 21%. And so while the country is grappling with a sharp decline in ownership among women, today, New Jersey can stand tall with 36% of our licenses being awarded to women. And so to quote Chairman Uenu in a recent article, women are developing and implementing sweeping regulatory policies, owning and managing thriving cannabis businesses, and educating the public about emerging industries. And, I just did a quick jot of notes of all of the types of women in the cannabis space that I talked to. They are in labor, they are in education, business ownership, banking and investing, real estate, ancillary businesses, disabled veterans. We have women-owned impact zone businesses, social equity businesses, executive, managerial, and frontline staff. Some are still applicants. Some are in the cannabis insurance space, organizers and advocates. Many are in the technical assisted space, the comm space, the admin space, and the medical space. And so we're are really excited to continue to welcome women into this industry and excited about where we are going in New Jersey. But last and not least, to the women-led board, we honor you all today and also all of the CRC staff, some who are here. There's not a day that I walk out of my office and I am greeted by a very smart and capable woman in the cannabis industry. So happy Happy Women's History Month, and we just celebrated International Women's Day. So good job.
Thank you, Director McWhite. Before the board today, as far as applications up for consideration, we have 24 conditional applications, 24 conditional to annual conversions, 7 annuals, 2 expanded ATCs, and then 34 annual renewal applications. Lastly, before I get to the sales and pricing update, two things before I get to the sales and pricing update. First, wanted to give a snapshot for where we stand with medicinal enrollment. We're currently at 83,151 patients, just over 5,000 caregivers and 1,500 physicians participating. Importantly, we did roll out digital ID cards, and so those are starting to be issued to patients. Continue to work through that process, hoping to see these numbers, start to go up eventually. And we're continuing to look at things we can do on our end to help make that happen. Lastly, to Wes's point about working with a lot of very capable, accomplished women in the cannabis industry, I did want to acknowledge that we're down one today. So our Deputy Executive Director, former Deputy Executive Director, Kelly Anderson Thomas, has gone on to be Deputy Commissioner of the Department of Health, overseeing the Public Health Systems Branch. For those who know the history of the medicinal marijuana program, which then became the Division of Medicinal Marijuana, we actually started in the Public Health Systems Branch. Very exciting to see Kelly move on to do bigger and better things, and we wish her well, and we'll certainly be working with her going forward. So congrats to Kelly on the new employment, and we'll continue to see her do amazing things. So moving to sales and pricing update. Been doing these periodically, and given that we haven't done one since in a while, figured it would be good to touch on this. First off, we have announced previously where we stand on sales, and you can go to the first slide here. So when we look at adult use and medicinal sales for 2023, we came in at just over $800 million total. Definitely the biggest year on record. Next slide. I wanted to highlight two months in particular because as we're into 2024, when we look at January and February last year versus January and February this year, for adult use particularly, you'll notice that we have a 35% increase over last year in January and a 42% increase over February this year. So we're continuing to see growth in the market, and we project that to continue through this year. Going back on adult use sales to the beginning of 2023, you can see the trend line going consistently upward here. You'll notice there is fluctuation month to month. We do see seasonal trends in cannabis. There, some of that driven by the same seasonal trends elsewhere, some driven by seasonal trends unique to cannabis, i.e. April 20th. In New Jersey, thanks to when we started adult use sales, we now have April 20th and April 21st to celebrate. So we get 2 days. Overall, though, sales are growing month over month, and the trend line is very positive, which is why we are. I do believe we will eclipse $1 billion in total cannabis sales in this year. We've announced this previously too, but just to show the statistics, going back to 2018 when we really began the effort to first reform the medicinal program, and then once the adult use law was signed, turned to recreational sales, we've had over $2 billion in cannabis sales in New Jersey over those 6 years. Now we're going to turn to pricing, and I've certainly brought up before this board before I brought up historically that New Jersey does have high prices. The good news is that we are seeing a positive trend there as well, and so. If we look at, this is bud and flower pricing that we're going to look at specifically. I'll touch on the percentage of the market that these sales account for, but bud and flower continues to be the highest selling category of cannabis product categories. We're seeing prices for medicinal have dropped from in January of last year, they were just shy of $12 per gram. Currently, in February, they were at $10.48 per gram average, and this is based on actual sales from our inventory tracking system. Adult use retailer, we were at just shy of $14 per gram in January of last year, and now at $12.22 per gram. Where that shakes out on a per ounce basis, on the recreational side, we're just under $350 per ounce average retail price. That's not inclusive of taxes, any taxes that need to be paid. And then on the medicinal side, and this is the first time since we've been tracking this that I can say this, we are under $300 per ounce when it comes to average price paid by patients for bud and flower. There's more work to be done there, for sure. We're going to see prices come down more, particularly as competition increases. But this is good progress. A lot more work needs to be done, and you know, we do expect these prices to continue to decline. Something we'll continue to monitor too, because you know, when prices fall too far, then it can become a problematic business environment to stay afloat. But you know, I think you know, prices remain high, particularly when we look at more mature legal markets, and consistent with you know, more legal markets as they roll out, as businesses become operational, particularly on the supply side, you start to see prices come down, and that's exactly what we're seeing right now. When we look at the product categories being sold, bud and flower remains the most popular at about 42% of all sales. Vape carts being the second at about just shy of 30% of all sales. Edibles at 14%. Expect to see that increase, particularly as our edible expansion rules are adopted and people take advantage of those waivers. And then, you know, you have pre-rolls, concentrates, shake trim, and capsule pills and other product categories, really more minor part of the market. But that's where we stand from a product mix situation. And then lastly, when we look at sales, one thing I wanted to note is because we see the price going down, it's not reflective of overall utilization of the adult use market. And so, you know, you actually see, we've seen a 46% increase in grams sold over time since January of 2023, while only a 33.71% increase in total sales. So, you know, sales are going up, prices coming down, so that total sales will reflect, you know, slightly lower than what utilization is. But I think there's positive news in both respects there. And next, I'm going to turn it over to Director McWhite again to just announce a couple things coming up through his office and through the CRC.
Thank you, Director Brown. So really excited. Last year, if you remember, board, we set out to do in-person medical registration clinics, one being in one of our buildings, and we were in Trenton, we were in Bridgeton, and also in Newark, where I live. Isn't that interesting? So, we are doing them again, but this time we are doing a whole lot more. This time we will again be returning to 212 Washington Street in Newark. We'll be going to 50 Barrack Street here in downtown Trenton, and 1325 Boardwalk in Atlantic City, which is also the Atlantic City Casino Commission. So in person, you'll be allowed to learn more about the cannabis medical cannabis program, register as a new patient, create a patient or caregiver portal, renew patient or caregiver card, and or change caregiver. And now that we're rolling out our digital card, you'll be able to get on-site approval for a medicinal cannabis card. You can get a printed card here in New Jersey, but all other places we will be able to show you or download for you the new free digital card. NC funds, you know, every year it is written in statute that the CRC is to hold 3 regional hearings to solicit feedback from the public on how to spend social equity excise fee dollars. And so this year we are doing those again on March 26th, March 27th, and March 28th. These will all be virtual on Zoom. And we will also be taking written comments as well. And so our team is going to be doubling down on our outreach and reaching out to all of our community partners and even business owners so that they can offer, recommendations for how to spend the social equity excise fee dollars. We then create a report, which then goes to the governor's office and the legislator. And so it is really, really important that the public stays tapped in to social equity excise fee dollars and shows up to these hearings in both for, well, all three for Northern, Central, and the Southern region. And that's it for me.
And that is it for the executive director's report.
Thank you, Director Brown and Director McWhite. Are there any questions from the board regarding the executive director's report?
I know that Commissioner Delgado has some questions, but I will have some.
I don't have any questions.
Commissioner Barker.
But go ahead.
Executive Director Brown, thank you. So first and foremost, thank you. Director McWhite, thank you for the data, very helpful. Just briefly, because pricing, as we know, we talk about it, is critical. Can existing operators do more to decrease prices, especially for our patients?
Yeah, I mean, I would say yes. I think we don't have, we don't regulate prices. We certainly report out on them. We monitor them. But I think there's certainly things that businesses could look at to, particularly for the medical population. We've seen more discounts for sure, particularly geared towards patients. So that's one thing that is proliferating the market. But I expect to see these prices continue to go down. And I think if we're not seeing that particularly for patients, then we'll want to understand why and continue to revisit this.
Okay. And just one more question briefly. Can you just elaborate, we've heard it before, we've talked about it, can you elaborate on the discrepancy between the prices for products in New Jersey versus other states? Similar products, but different pricing. Can you elaborate on that? And is there anything that we can do at the CRC about that?
So, each cannabis market is real, state-based cannabis market is really a self-contained thing, right? There's no interstate commerce, so it's all within that state. I think it's important to note when we look at New Jersey, where we've come from. And I think when you look at medical programs, there's like the first wave, which was, probably you talk about California, West Coast states, some East Coast states, but really not regulated at all. Just kind of, patients could get a medical card, and then there was a very gray area supply chain, not really regulated. The second stage medical, which I would put New Jersey in there, were very tightly regulated. And so like New Jersey, New York are two that come to mind there, where you had, required vertical integration, very strict requirements for patients, not the type of thing that, really just a stark counterpoint to what you saw first. The third wave, I think, are some of the medical programs that had, lots of experience to draw from. And so like I would put Pennsylvania in this category, Maryland, right? And they kind of went big from the beginning, or went to a market size that was really, I think, on point with what they projected their patients to be and ultimately serve them well. So, for us, we've had to dig out from, the former administration and some of the constraints on the market. Then when I came in, there were 5 dispensaries. Only 2 of them carried edibles. And there were 17,000 patients. Prices were high. Patients had to go 4 times to see doctors. Some were paying $1,000 a month to, or $1,000 a year just to maintain, enrollment in the program. In this, whenever you make a move as far as licensing, whether it's issuing permits or issuing licenses, especially on the supply side, it really takes at least 2 years to see that impact hit the market. That's a long way of saying we've had to take a long route to get to where we are for certain reasons. But I'm confident that prices are going to continue to come down. I think the thing that we can do and we should continue to do is, number one, continue to monitor this data, particularly for medical patients. I think number 2, continue to look at the licenses issued and make sure that we're issuing enough licenses to maintain a competitive market in both the medical market and the adult use market, and then adjust accordingly.
Thank you. Thank you, Fat.
Thank you, Commissioner Barker, and Director Brown. I know that as far as pricing goes, the board did outline that taking a look at pricing was a top priority for this year. So we'll continue to monitor the data that staff collect and assess our options as a regulatory body to the extent that those options are viable for us. Commissioner Del Cid Coso.
Yes, well, first of all, I want to thank Director Mike White for presenting that information. It is a Women's History Month. So I do want to commend the 59 women that are operating in the industry right now. I know it's not an easy task. So I understand the hurdles that you had to overcome to get to where you are. So again, congratulations. And then Commissioner Barker did steal my question. I was going to ask Director Brown about how our prices compare to other states, especially the ones that are our neighbors. So I don't know if you have anything else to add on that.
Yeah, I'll just add one more thing. I think our prices are consistent on the adult use side because Commissioner Barker, we were talking mostly about patients, but AU is applicable here too. I think it's consistent with how you see AU adult use markets roll out. I saw data from Massachusetts from 2020, which was 2 or 3 years in for them. They were at about an average price of $400 an ounce at that time. We're under that by $50 per ounce right now, 3 years in. So, I expect that to continue to continue to decrease.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I would like to continue to work with staff to, brainstorm and see what avenues we have to not only decrease prices for patients, which is very important for me too, and veterans and critical patients that are out there paying the high prices.
$1,000 to renew a retail license for a small operator, for all operators, but particularly a small operator, and then you throw on top the $10,000 from the state that they're going to have to pay. That's $35,000 right there, right out the door. So that's going to stress a small operator. So the price of doing business in New Jersey, the cost of cannabis is going to be doing business in New Jersey is going to be high, and that's my opinion. But if you ask what we can do, municipalities can lower their prices on renewals, and the state can lower their prices on renewals.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. One thing we certainly can do, and I know there's been discussion among commissioners to get some stakeholder feedback, but talk to the industry, find out what's what in their eyes are driving costs, and that can only inform what we do.
I'd be happy to join you on a meeting with the industry and hear what they're saying. Happy to do it.
Thank you. Thank you, Vice Chair Delgado. Director Brown, you talked about the digital ID cards. Do we have any, excuse me, do you have any initial numbers on the number of digital
I
ID cards?
don't, but I'll prepare that for next meeting, for next month's executive director's report.
By all accounts, at this point, is the rollout of digital ID cards going very well? Is it going as well as we had initially hoped?
I think it's going well. I mean, credit to our customer service staff. I think whenever you roll out something new, there are lots of questions, and we're getting the process down. So I'd say it's going well. We'll improve. Whenever you make a change, you have to adjust to that change, and then ultimately become a well-oiled machine, and we'll get there.
And also, I wanted to know if we could get a summary of the edible products that are now on the market. Some businesses have taken advantage of the rule waiver to expand ingestible products that they offer. We have some pending.
the New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission. That's per statute, Madam Chairwoman. And that study includes the agency's organization, the regulation and enforcement activities, and overall effectiveness of the commission. There should be a fourth item, I believe, and that also includes whether the regulation oversight of medical cannabis and personal use could be more effectively managed through a reorganization of the commission, or the consolidation of the commission through different departments in the state. And so that's really the fourth bullet point there. It's not up on the screen. Also, the Audit Committee is going to adopt the annual reports. I understand the municipal cannabis industry report will be reporting out in May, hopefully.
Yeah, the medicinal cannabis annual reports, we should have some ready for adoption in May.
Very good. And then the adult use cannabis industry report. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Sorry to interject, Vice Chair. We're having some technical issues with our slides there, so we're just going to take a pause so that at least so that the members of the public can follow along as well.
Oh, I didn't see that. I'll be more than happy to repeat it.
And the slides will be posted publicly, so
Yes.
if anybody missed anything, they'll be on.
Who's
the website.
responsible for that, Director
Our communications department.
Brown? Obviously. So is that you? No. You know how harsh the commissioners could be.
Yeah.
I think it's done on purpose, because honestly.
If need be, we can go through without slides.
Yes.
I think all the, there we go. There it is. Great, perfect.
Not the sun at all. Thank you. Team ODI to the rescue. So, we're good? Good to go. All right, excellent. Thank you for your patience, everyone. Apologies for the technical difficulties, and I'll turn it back over to Vice Chair Delgado.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Chairman. So, there's my slide. That's all I have to say.
I think we discussed it.
Oh, in addition to the overall effectiveness of the, well, thank you. Put in my slide. In addition to the overall effectiveness of the New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission, the other items that the Audit Committee is involved with are the adoption of the annual reports. And I think I mentioned earlier that the municipal annual report, we're going to look forward to having it ready in the May board meeting. So both the chairwoman and I are anxious to see that report beforehand, so that's great. And then also the adult use cannabis industry report, that's the second report that will come out later in the year. And that's all I have, Madam Chair. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Vice Chair Delgado. Are there any questions from the board regarding the Audit Committee report?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Quick question. Is this something that you can share with today? What is the process that the Audit Committee is looking at to select that public research university?
You can take it.
Certainly. So we are, the Audit Committee is looking to disperse a request for information to all of the eligible public research universities with criteria for what we would be looking for, and to get an estimate for their anticipated costs and needs in order to conduct the study. Afterwards, the Audit Committee would review those proposals and develop a recommendation for the full board to consider before selecting a final vendor for this study.
Thank you. And has the Audit Committee identified a budget for that study yet, or is that something that you can share at the next public meeting?
We can share more at the next public meeting.
And there's five Commissioner Del Socoso, there's five research universities in the state: Rutgers, NJIT, Rowan, Kane, and Montclair. So those are the universities that will be sending out the request for information. Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board regarding the Audit Committee report? Hearing none, then we will move on. We have the Permit and Licensing Committee that will be giving its report. Commissioner Del Socoso has asked that I present for this month. The Permitting and Licensing Committee has granted 40 extensions to during the month of February. Again, if you are in need of an extension because you are coming up on either the expiration date of your conditional license or a deadline for you to request a final on-site inspection and become operational, please go to our website. On that main business page on the right-hand side, you will see links for information about the extension request process and the form that needs to be submitted. I also want to remind everyone that there is a 15-day deadline requirement for submitting the form. That is to allow for the commission to process your form, review it, coordinate with any other staff to make sure that we have the proper information, and also provide a response back to you, the applicant. Moving on, we also have some awardees for the annual licenses on the adult use side that are approaching their operational deadlines. We have 10 in March and 6 in April. So if you are one of those businesses where you are coming up on that 1-year deadline for you to become operational, please get in touch with your field monitor to make sure that they are up to date and in the know about what's going on with you, and submit an extension request if you need one. And then finally, the committee will solicit feedback on the application and licensing process. This is, again, one of the priorities for the year that the board had identified during our February board meeting. And so this spring, we're looking to hopefully start in April to convene public hearings to hear from the applicants and people who have gone through this licensing process. So we want to give people an opportunity to weigh in on the current licensing process, understand what's working and should be kept, as well as what maybe can be improved, and hear ideas from the people who are going through this process to make it more efficient. So we're currently working on ironing out the final details there. It will be posted on our website once confirmed, so please stay tuned. And that is all that we have for the Permit and Licensing Committee's report, unless Commissioner Del Socoso, there's anything you'd like to add?
No, ma'am, you covered it all. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board regarding the Permit and Licensing Committee's report? Hearing none, then we will move forward.
Next item on the agenda is the consideration of modification of the delegated authority.
Director Brown, I'll turn it over to you to provide a summary here.
So this is a modification of delegated authority. As previously approved by the board, Chairwoman, we've worked together on this. I think it's encompasses and acknowledges concerns, and I think it's a good path forward. You know, for me, it's making sure that we can continue to be efficient in our processes and also rely on the the exceptional expertise that we've developed at the CRC. I think both those things are true here. Just to summarize what the change is, so this acknowledges that when FSAs and MSAs are submitted as part of applications and they go to the board, they are reviewed and approved by the board as part of that application process. We're still maintaining the ability to review and approve FSAs and MSAs outside of the application process or modifications thereof. There'll just be a 7-day review period for the board on any approvals before those are issued. I think there's an additional clarification here on NOVs, which totally good with this, just that all NOVs go to the board for consideration. So overall, I'll just say this, not really pertinent here, but I'm incredibly proud of our FSA, MSA regs. They've really been the result of, to be honest, many years working with our investigative team on what's worked, what hasn't. Our legal team in determining what we should consider commercially reasonable or not. And I think New Jersey is an industry, a nationwide leader when it comes to our regulations that protect businesses from predatory lending practices. So that will continue here, and we'll continue to look at how we can improve processes and make sure that we're responding to changes in the industry.
Thank you, Director Brown, and thank you to you and your team for working with the board and apprising us of updates and improvements in the process that we've been able to implement internally. I think it's especially given that we are still a relatively new agency, it's always important for us to make sure that we're updating our processes to become more efficient, make sure that we streamline processes where possible, and are able to relay those expectations to the public so that everybody stays on the same page. So thank you to you and your team for working with us to make sure that we are updating our delegated authority to reflect our new processes. Are there any questions from the board? If there are no questions, is there a motion on this matter?
Madam Chairwoman, I move to enthusiastically approve the modification and delegation of authority.
Moved by Vice Chair Delgado. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Nash. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker,
Abstain.
Commissioner Del Cid Coso,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Absolutely.
Chairwoman Wenu.
Yes.
The motion passes. Next item on the agenda is the consideration of applications for name changes.
Thank you. Director Brown, I'll turn it over to you.
We have some name change requests. Jersey Shore Ventures to become Neptune's Garden, Rooted Evesham to become Quality Roots Evesham, Queen City Wellness to Mindlift, and Glass World Consulting to Treehouse Co-op Dispensary. All of these entities have submitted a letter with request and filed the name change amendment with the Secretary of State or the New Jersey Department of Treasury, Division of Revenue Enterprise Services. So they are all recommended for approval.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board? Hearing none, is there a motion on this matter?
Madam Chairwoman, I move that we motion to consideration application of name changes.
To approve the name changes?
Yes, to approve.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Del Cid Coso. Is there any discussion on this motion to approve the name changes? Hearing no discussion, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker,
Abstain.
Commissioner Del Cid Coso,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wenu.
Yes.
The motion passes. Next item on the agenda is the consideration of applications for location changes.
I believe here's just one. So Director Brown, I'll kick it over to you.
Yes, thank you. Just one location change. this is a location change for Organic Remedies, moving from Clarksboro in New Jersey to Gloucester City in New Jersey. They've submitted all the documentation required by regulation, and they've been reviewed by our team, and they're recommended for approval for this location change.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board?
Yes, just a quick one.
Yes, Commissioner Dustin.
Director Brown, just for clarification purposes, this applicant, they're not operational at this point, right? They're not open up their whole site, or they just?
So I will have to check. I believe if they're not open, they're probably close if we're putting it to the board, because it is delegated that we can approve location changes prior to permitting or licensing. So I would imagine if they're not open, they're probably getting close, which is why I would imagine we're putting it to the board.
Okay.
Any further questions? Is there a motion on this matter?
So moved.
I second.
Moved by Commissioner Nash to approve the location change, and seconded by Vice Chair Delgado. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker?
Aye.
Commissioner Del Cid Coso?
Yes.
Commissioner Nash?
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado?
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu?
Yes.
The motion passes. The next item for consideration is the adult use cannabis business conditional license applications.
Director Brown, I will turn it over to you to provide a summary of the applications.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So as is practice, I'll cover the overall process here for all the applications, and then we'll go through category by category. So when an application comes in, it's assigned a priority based on what that application qualifies for, whether it's social equity business, diversity owned business, impact zone business, whether they get bonus points or they're just a general applicant. That priority is verified by our team. They are then assessed for completeness to make sure the application is complete. They're then scored in accordance with our notice of application acceptance, and applications that score sufficiently high in accordance with that notice are then moved forward. There's a review of qualification limitations and financial management agreement review. This is for all applicants, but it's more in-depth for annuals and conversions. For annuals and conversions, they then go on to qualification review, which is a criminal history background check, as well as financial probity. Conditionals go right to quality control. Staff conduct quality control on all these applications to make sure they meet the regulatory requirements, and then we make a recommendation to the board. So all the applications that are presented today have gone through that process and are recommended for approval, and now we can go through cohort by cohort.
Thank you. So starting with the conditional license applications.
Yep, and Director McWhite, you can put the list of conditionals on the board. All 24 of these are recommended for approval, and the list is also on our website under the agenda for today's meeting.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board regarding the information provided about the applications? Hearing none. Is there a motion on this matter as it pertains to conditional license applications?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the conditional license applications for Class 1, Class 2, Class 3, Class 4, Class 5, and Class 6 licenses.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Barker. Is there any discussion on this motion to approve the conditional license application? Hearing none, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker?
Aye.
Commissioner Del Cid Coso?
Yes.
Commissioner Nash?
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado?
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu?
Yes.
The motion passes. The next item up for consideration is the rescission of a previous denial for a conditional license application.
Thank you. Director Brown?
Thank you. So there were some denials at the last meeting. One of those entities paid the required fee before the meeting and the vote took place, and so we're just recommending that the board takes back that denial and that application is allowed to move forward.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board regarding this matter? Is there a motion on this matter?
Madam Chair, I move that we vacate the denial and reinstate the applicant.
Moved by Commissioner Barker. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Nash. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker,
Aye.
Commissioner Del Cid Coso,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
The motion passes. The next item up for consideration is the adult use cannabis business conversion license applications.
Thank you. Director Brown.
Thank you. There are 24 conditional to annual conversion licenses. All have gone through the process I outlined before, and all are recommended for approval.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board? Hearing none. Is there a motion on this matter?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the conversion applications.
Moved by Commissioner Barker. Is there a second?
I second.
Seconded by Vice Chair Delgado. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing none. Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker,
Aye.
Commissioner Del Cid Coso,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
The motion passes. The next item up for consideration is the adult use cannabis business annual license applications.
Thank you. Director Brown.
Thank you. There are 7 annual license applications up for approval. All have gone through the process I outlined before and are recommended to be approved by the CRC board.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board regarding these applications? If there are no questions, is there a motion on this matter?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the annual license applications.
Moved by Commissioner Nash. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Del Cid Coso. Is there any discussion on this motion to approve the annual license applications? Hearing none, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker,
Abstain.
Commissioner Del Cid Coso,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
The motion passes. The next item up for consideration are the expanded alternative treatment center certifications.
Director Brown.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have 2 alternative treatment centers seeking to expand to adult use sales. That's Roots Dispensary in Willingboro and Silverleaf Wellness in Franklin Township. Both have been vetted against the expansion standards that are in our regulations and statute, looking at their supply, overall market supply, ability to serve patients, social equity plans and otherwise, and they are both recommended for approval for expansion into the adult use market.
Thank you. So we'll take these one by one. Are there any questions from the board regarding the certification to expansion for Roots Dispensary? If there are no questions, is there a motion on this matter as it pertains to Roots Dispensary?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Nash to
I
approve,
second.
seconded by Vice Chair Delgado. Is there any discussion on this motion to approve the certification for Roots Dispensary? Hearing no discussion, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker,
Abstain.
Commissioner Del Cid Coso,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
The motion passes.
And in turn to Silverleaf Wellness. Are there any questions from the board for Director Brown regarding the Silverleaf Wellness certification materials? And none. Is there a motion on this matter as pertains to Silverleaf Wellness LLC?
Madam Chairwoman, I move that we accept the expanded ATC certification for Silverleaf Wellness LLC.
Moved by Vice Chair Delgado. Is there a second? Second. Seconded by Commissioner Del Cid-Coso. Is there any discussion on the motion to accept the ATC certification for Silverleaf Wellness? Hearing none, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker,
Abstain.
Commissioner Del Cid-Coso,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainu.
Yes.
The motion passes. The next item up for consideration is the adult use cannabis business annual license renewal applications.
I will now turn it over to Director Brown to provide remarks about the annual license renewals.
Thank you, Chairwoman Wainu. We have before us a number of adult annual license renewals. All of those are listed on the slide and in the board packet. There are 4 entities that are within their first year of adult use operations, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in their second year. And so I did want to talk a little bit before I get into the recommendation about how we really work on ongoing compliance here. We're lucky enough to have I think one of the best compliance staffs I'd say in the country. And we they're very hands-on with permit holders, license holders, in constant communication with them. We require any material changes to be submitted to us outside of the renewal process and approved outside of the renewal process. Those include ownership changes, location changes, facility modifications, things of that nature. Our team is also, when it comes to these entities, their employees have to be carded, whether it be ATC identification card or cannabis business identification card. They're submitting now quarterly reports to Director McWhite and his team on their progress when it comes to their social equity commitments. They're in contact with our Director of Labor Compliance and Education, Bill Wallace, assessing compliance there's not really it's not one point in time at the renewal process. It's an ongoing thing, and our team does a really good job of making sure that these entities remain in compliance, and when they're not, then obviously we issue notices of violation and bring those to the board for consideration. When it comes to the renewal process, all of these entities operate in both medicinal and adult use markets. Were assessed for medicinal renewal several months ago and are now being assessed for adult use renewal. Estimation of our compliance staff is that they're in compliance with the ongoing material requirements for license holders. They're in compliance with the social equity commitments that Director McWhite and his team assess on an ongoing basis. And they are in compliance at the moment with labor requirements. There are a couple instances that we're tracking for sure. At the moment, at this point in time, they are good there. You have in your packet a certification that they've, meet those ongoing material requirements, but there's a lot of work that goes underneath that certification to make sure that they are compliant on an ongoing basis. And certainly if they're not, our team, brings that to our attention, and then we issue violations accordingly. So all these entities have been assessed based on their certification, based on that underlying information, based on the reports from the Office of Diversity and Inclusion and our whole team at the CRC, and they are recommended for license renewal here to most of them expire in April, so that would be renewing these licenses from their expiration date for an additional year.
Thank you, Director Brown. Are there any questions from the board regarding that information provided? If there are no questions, is there a motion on this matter?
Madam Chair, I move to accept the renewal of adult use cannabis business licenses for expanded ATCs.
And I second.
Seconded by Vice Chair Delgado. Is there any discussion on this motion to accept the renewal for these businesses? Hearing no discussion, Mr. Said, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker? Nay. Commissioner Del Cid Coso?
Yes.
Commissioner Nash?
Yes.
Vice Chair Delgado?
Yes.
Chairwoman Wainum?
Yes.
The motion passes. Next item on the agenda, we have the open public comment period.
Thank you. As always, members of the public can submit comments to the commission during or after this meeting by going to our website, nj.gov/campus/meetings. The deadline for submitting written comments for today's board meeting is tomorrow, Thursday, March 14th at 5 o'clock. Written comments will be shared with the commission members and will be made public. Speakers today will be limited to 3 minutes. The public comment period is meant to give members of the public an opportunity to address the commission about matters that the commission should be aware of. Please, this is not a space for simply marketing or advertising private businesses. Mr. Said will call out the names of those registered speakers. When you hear your name called, please come to the front. When you get to the microphone, just push the button that says push until you see a green light. That is your cue that the microphone is on and you can begin. Your 3 minutes will be monitored over here on my right, your left. So please make sure that your comments are concise. With that, Mr. Said, you can please call on our first speaker.
Thank you, Chairwoman. As a reminder, public speakers during this afternoon's public comment period will be limited to 3 minutes. Please be respectful and concise during your comments. So I'm going to call 3 names at a time. Deanna Robinson, Tim Kerr, and Freddie Herrera. Please just get ready if you're going to speak. Diana, Deanna. Yes, and just
Hi, I'd like to first thank you all in the commission for allowing me to be here and for approving me. It was about 2 months ago or 3 months ago. And during that time, I've had some good feedback to give you and some suggestions. There are a lot of townships that have not implemented the ordinance for cannabis, as you know. And the ones that have, there's some sort of inside communication where the big dogs come out and scoop out the applications and the locations, and before women in business, minority in business have a chance, they're already been taken. I don't know how it's, the list is done or how they know, but they do know. And then some of these zones that they have for cannabis businesses, retail, are in an industrial zone. So some of these retailers that have come out with limited funds, they go out of business because their locations are in a poor place. I don't know what you can do, but I think that minorities and women in business should have an opportunity to be part of the license application. At least if you have 3 licenses that the township is giving, 1 should be designated for women in business, minority in business. It seems that big corporations know everything before we know it, okay? So I don't know how we can change it, but I'm glad that I'm coming in late. I applied 3 years ago. And I finally got it now, so a lot of the kinks are being worked out. It's not that I'm Johnny come lately, but I'm, finding a lot of things that we could do to go forward. Okay, my 3 minutes are up?
No, you have a minute.
No, it's okay. I'm good. Thank you so much. God bless you all. Thank you.
The next name on the list is Tim Kerr, if you're here. Next after that is Freddie Herrera. All right, the next three names on the list are Michael Weil, Dr. Aliza Brevard Rodriguez, and Carlos Almanzar. I see Michael, right? Just state your name as we go.
Good afternoon, Commission. My name is Michael Weil. I'm a New Jersey medical cannabis patient in the state of New Jersey. I also run a weekly YouTube channel, Stop the Stigma with Cannabis live program, and I've learned a lot over the course of the past few years in my research into the cannabis industry. I've been fortunate enough to travel the country and see the implications of the effects of cannabis and how it's affected the states as they've implemented it. I hear a lot about costs and everything else. I see a lot that the great work that the Commission's done, they don't get applauded enough for the work they've done to kind of control everything and everything else. Some states have ounces as low as $40 to $28 an ounce for recreational cannabis in the state of Oregon. Now, I don't understand how anybody could be expected to be in that sort of industry with that sort of profit margin at the end. So the work that they're doing in the beginning to stop that sort of thing from happening is critical to the industry. I feel that, just to speak on price for a second. Now, I just wanted to talk as a medical patient. I've seen a drastic reduction in the number of medical patients over the past year since it's come out. Since the recreational, I've seen, it was, I believe, a third drop in patients since recreational sales have opened. In my discussions with the many dispensary owners in the state of New Jersey, I've been to almost every dispensary in New Jersey. I have yet to find anybody to give me an answer on why you would open a medical dispensary right now. There is zero reason for you to apply to open a medically only exclusive dispensary in the state of New Jersey without drastic changes to the benefits to the patients. I see we're having programs. We need to have doctors involved at those programs to be able to issue those sorts of the patient's cards at that program. The big problem is getting to the availability of a doctor, the overcost of the doctor themselves. The Commission does an excellent job affording the availability to people to get their card, but to get the certification to get their card is where I'm seeing a lot of the blockages. Also, something I see to expand the medical market is to limit the introduction of edibles, certain types of edibles, to only medical patients, with drinks of certain percentages being limited to medical patients, as well as higher concentrations of medical products of certain states do a 10 milligram for rec patients, and then add to 100 milligrams for medical patients, and that to control the dosing and be more medically conscious towards that, where a lot of medical patients require a severe, a greater dosage to alleviate their symptoms, and the cost in purchasing lower dosage edibles just doesn't, it's not good for the patient at that point in time. Thank you very much, and continue on with the great work. You want it done?
Just submit it in writing. Submit.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you very much.
Dr. Eliza Brevard Rodriguez.
It's crazy.
My name is Dr. Rodriguez. First name is Eliza. Do me a favor, start that back over when I begin to speak. All right, good afternoon. My name is Dr. Berard Rodriguez, and I'm the founder of a future cannabis dispensary and consumption lounge called The Other Side. Yesterday, I received a personal courtesy call to be advised that I would not be awarded today, but that my comments were welcomed. I thought how ironic that the CRC had time to cross-reference their emails with the speaker list, but didn't have time to rush an already overdue application that was found to have zero discrepancies from a 10-year military veteran. You don't say. Another irony is that the state has managed to award out-of-state companies with grants, but we weren't found good enough for that either. So I can be glorified as the most diverse applicant, but apparently not good enough to be awarded a grant, a license, or receive any state assistance at this point. However, we are good enough to be a marker on your data set every month. See, throughout this painful 2-year journey, I have been glorified and heralded in the media for being a Black and Latina, LGBTQ disabled veteran operator, despite the fact that it's the only variation that's yet to be awarded. I'm a Jersey resident. I have zero involvement with any MSOs, no FSAs, no MSAs, and tremendous business acumen. I'm pretty much the exact type of candidate the CRC has described that they wanted as an operator, yet here we are. No license still. The commission claimed that the process takes 15 to 27 weeks. However, my team's timetable revealed that we are actually 82 weeks from our initial submission date and 29 weeks from our cure date, making the timeline you provided inaccurate. In the last meeting, Commissioner Barker expressed that there's a lack of in-depth data available, and since there's a sudden interest in research, as a research scientist, I figured I'd add a qualitative narrative to your numbers since they don't paint the real picture. In 2 years, my team and I have spent $150,000 in real estate holding fees, $75,000 on professional services, and that's out of the $1.1 million that we intentionally raised from only Black and brown investors, basically throwing $250,000 of their money in the garbage. As if we don't already come from families that are struggling, we're over here paying rent on empty buildings like we got it like that. And for what? Because you were ill-prepared? Understaffed? Understand that this is not just data, these are real lives. I quit my full-time job as a policy expert to pursue this process after also being medically separated from the Navy, again, after 10 years. Thinking this endeavor could be the opportunity for real wealth and life on the other side, where we thrive instead of survive. But instead, as a combat disabled veteran, this process has rattled my anxiety so badly, I may need to be my own best customer. Beyond my lived experiences, I think about the trappers who have stopped their profitable businesses to go legal, and trusting you in our communities to lead them to legitimacy. I think about the veterans risking their relationship with the federal system to be involved in this industry, and I think about the dreamers who have fought against vicious landlords and lenders trying to steal their companies. And I think about myself, seasoned entrepreneurs playing a waiting game, having a hard time making it make sense. And while I typically offer solutions, 3 minutes just isn't enough to truly hear people. So hear this. We need to be collaborative and we need to find solutions together. Because let me tell you that this talking at you business is not conducive nor productive. So next month, when you award me, I will be present here with all of my investors. That way you can look into the eyes of the very people who have taken out home equity loans, money out of their 401ks, and given their last bit of savings to bet it all on me. Also that our kids don't experience another 400 years of strife and poverty. What a shame that I had to come up here on Women's Month and leave like this. What a shame.
Carlos Amansor. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my first time over here. My mother was supposed to be here today, but unfortunately she got called in because there's a shortage of nurses. My mother worked from 6 in the morning to 11 at night. I am a professional trapper. I sold cannabis. 2.5 years ago, I quit everything because I didn't want to go to jail and I want to do this the right way. Some politics decided that I was not good enough. I went to my mother and I cried to my mother and I said, Mom, you have given me everything. We came from the Dominican Republic into an apartment, Martin Luther King, called the Jungle, when usually people like me don't make it. My mother gave me everything. I own a construction company and some other business. My business, I give it to the community, for the community, because I came from the rough part. South Towns River has done incredibly the wrongest thing ever. The only female minority that lives in town, the only female minority that works and gives everything that she has to the kids of our community and the senior citizen didn't get approved. So far, I have went to everyone. I have sued the town. 420 Organic got approved last week here. That building that they got approved is the same building I gave my mother for her dispensary. The only dispensary in New Jersey that would have had a university inside of it. I'm a special ed guy. I cannot write, I cannot read. This is the only way I could communicate. And I told everyone I want to help my community. I went to different universities to get them united to be able to help my people. Guys, I'm tired because I don't know what to do. I have wasted all my money. I'm going bankrupt. $1.5 million that I had in my account disappeared. I'm selling all my trucks and everything just so I could have a capital to survive. I don't know what to do no more. You guys say, come out, apply. We are coming out, but we're not getting the chance. We are not, and we have to do something to hold these towns accountable. Black and brown always losing. I don't see colors. I see hearts and I see people. But when I come from the worst of the worst and I see who's getting applied and who's getting approved, the only difference was a Caucasian family, $14 million, a Hispanic family, and I don't want to use the word that they said, $1.5 million. And everything was going to my community. Because the way to convince my mother's a very religious lady. Doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, doesn't do anything. I had to give my company away to the kids. That's the only reason my mother agreed. So guys, I want you guys to please do something and go after these towns. Because it's not fair. I can't even apply because what town I'm going to go? I can't go to an outside of town. And everything I'm doing is for my mother. It's not even for me. So please do something about it because look, I want to throw a 420 concert and donate all the proceeds to the town. They said, we don't know how to treat that. I said, 1-day liquor license. Oh, we don't know. We got to think about it. I went to social leave to see if they will work with us. Oh, sorry. To see if they will work with us. Nobody wants. So, like, I don't know what to do. I want to help my community and I want to help my people. And you guys are doing a great job.
Thank you, Carlos.
But we got to do something better, please. And have a great day, guys.
The next three names on the list are Aaron Burgard, Amina Cure, and Miriam Cure. Aaron? Just please state your name. Step to the three.
Hello, this is Aaron Burgard. I come here as a member of the community, as someone who's big into data and the research that the community has to give to the CRC. I find it very troublesome as a researcher that the data points that we have available to us come in such infrequencies and low denominations. Last meeting, we talked about how we look at other states and what they do well. I would like to point our eye at the state of Colorado. I know they've been here a lot longer than we have, but they give monthly reports. They give their numbers out monthly instead of quarterly, and they also present it in a Google Sheets for the public to obtain. I find that much more accessible for the public to use, and I would like to finish this just stating, help us help you. As a researcher myself, I would love to give you guys any feedback or any findings that I can give you. And right now, it's just hard to find that availability. Thank you for letting me speak today, and yeah.
Amina Cure or Miriam Cure. All right, the next three on the list are Chris Goldstein, Angela Speakman, and Christopher Aponte. You go ahead, I'm just thinking.
Certainly.
No, it's on right.
Angela Speakman. Every barrier, every obstacle in cannabis is rooted in misinformation and problematic stigma, which is nothing new for this plant. We can look to the 8th century as easily as the 18th and find instances of controversy. I'm the founder of Elucidation Strategies, an education agency working in our cannabis industry. Our mission is to help people and organizations make informed decisions when it comes to cannabis. Our education first model, delivered through a historical framework while acknowledging individual perspectives and what influenced them, is the focus of our work, helping individuals, community, and the sector at large. Shaped by my background in higher education and the public humanities, our Cannabis Community Conversation program provides learning opportunities hosted in libraries for supported discussions that explore the complexities of cannabis from past to present. What's behind the lack of real estate, a result of the opt-outs? What's behind the hesitancy for cannabis as an opioid alternative? What's behind every "I don't want that kind" statement here from community members unwilling to even entertain the possibility of licensed operations? It all comes down to fear based on decades of misinformation. Informed by library feedback in 2023, Elucidation administered a survey to all 297 libraries in early 2024. The 5-question survey aimed to learn more about the interest in and barriers to cannabis education. Each library director in the state was individually contacted by phone and email, resulting in an 18% response rate. 3 key takeaways. 1, there is considerable positive interest in bringing these programs to patrons. 2, budget and administrative comfortability and interest are big barriers. And 3, unexpectedly, individual conversations prove to be the most insightful as the focus group represents inherent tensions. Quote, "I don't have interest in completing the survey. I know of enough people who started with pot and ended up as drug addicts, several of whom OD'd. And the thought of someone driving while stoned certainly takes the joy out of driving. The only education that's relevant is education not to smoke pot. Quote, I'm not interested in doing a cannabis program here. Town X is a very conservative community and prohibits marijuana dispensaries within the township. Most of our programs are most of our patrons are seniors and parents, and I don't think this is the right environment for such a program." I could go on, sharing other direct quotes that reveal rationale for and against encouraging access to basic information, which is fascinating when considering all interactions were with information gatekeepers in our statewide communities. While you and your partners are doing a fantastic job promoting education about the process, licensing, and safe consumption, Elucidation's data indicates that there is a substantial need for reliable, accurate, neutral, fundamental narratives which ultimately positions New Jerseyans to better understand your current initiatives and make informed decisions involving cannabis. I am requesting the opportunity to further discuss the implementation of a statewide history-focused public education initiative, using our conversation model to advance historical information that helps people understand why they feel the way they do. The complete survey results are available, and I thank you very much for your time and consideration.
The next is Christopher Aponte.
Hello, my name is Christopher Aponte, and I'm the owner of AC Leaf. I would like to thank you all for the opportunity to be here and opportunity to be able to open up a retail store. Next week, I plan on getting my zoning for memorialized by the Atlantic City Commission, City Council. Just wanted to sit and, it's a blessing to be able to, cannabis affect my life when I was 18 years old, catching a felony, blocking me out of a lot of opportunities, and then being able to sit here today as a clean slate. My record was expunged as of last year. It's been a journey with me and my team for the past few years with this cannabis. Moving forward, I would just like to say that if we could get a little more help with the attention for the townships of how they treat social equity clients within their communities. I expect it to be a hard time for a lot of us because we're coming from, a lot of us don't have the experience of business, and things of that nature. Being able to hold 51% when someone entrusts you with $2 million of their capital, it's not the most easiest task. But you guys are doing, and ladies doing a tremendous job, and I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity and stay here.
The next 3 names on the list are Connor Shaw, David Fetter, and Andrea Rabel. If any of you are here.
Hi, my name is Andrea Rabel, and I'm a patient in this state. I'd like to start by saying I appreciate Jeff Brown for speaking up on home grow recently, whereas patients didn't have the opportunity to speak for that. I know it's outside of your jurisdiction, but there are a lot of things within your jurisdiction that we definitely need you to take action on. You control our access, our safety, our options, and our voice. The first words in your code of ethics is to uphold the J. Koenig Compassionate Care Act, but 5 years later, we still don't have institutional access. Medicine like this can save my life as an epilepsy and brain damage patient, but it's not allowed in hospitals. You know, hospice patients don't even have access to their medicine, and they don't even have the chance to be heard today here on video testimony, even though we clearly have the capabilities. When you're talking about patient accessibility, we need advisory boards or maybe a patient's rights committee. You guys do a lot of committees. We need science-led recommendations. We need transparency. We need all of the COAs posted online. These are outdated practices we need to bring back. We shouldn't have to drive to every dispensary and ask for every product to be printed out. You guys might not regulate it differently, but RSO that legally meets requirements has butane residuals in it. That's the difference in a patient like me, where it's traditionally made with ethanol, and that's what I'm expecting. That's why I feel like my nervous system is frying out. It feels like I'm being electrocuted all the time. Even when I'm dabbing, I stick to solventless. These things matter to patients, and there are easy steps you can take to show that you even care about patients, like lifting the testing batch size. I have yeast and mold allergies. I'm also approximately 100 pounds, so I am the testing batch size for flour in New Jersey right now. While you collect half a percentage, this AA battery represents how much is actually consumed during the laboratory testing. It's not a representative sample. This was a temporary measure you guys put in to boost the industry, not as a safety practice. And it's been years. We now have 100 dispensary licenses, $2 billion industry. It's time to please make common sense changes for public health. If I was divided into eighths, 12,800 people would individually be put at risk before we even have the chance to test or do a recall. Lives are at stake here for respiratory sensitive patients, and it would be pennies on the dollar for industry to change. We have the highest batch rate in the country by far. Most, like the regulation we changed from, are around 10 pounds. Pennsylvania proves with the pricing differences that at 4 times the amount of testing clearly doesn't impact their prices. There are basic steps that patients and people need you to take for us to feel safe or for us to feel like our voices are heard. So please, I know that one's a simple vote that would take very limited amount of the council's time. Please at least consider prioritizing appropriately, because while home grow isn't in your jurisdiction, you regulate the cost, the access, you regulate our hospital care, you regulate our quality of life, and you regulate our chances of survival. And I just ask that you prioritize accordingly. Thank you.
The next 3 names on the list are Erin Gore, Frank Vitolo, and Jara Soldavilla. If any 3 of you are here, please make yourself known. All right, the next name on the list is Samuel Reichbart.
My name is Samuel Reichbart, and I'm here today to talk about a couple of things. First off, as Andrea just spoke on, the lab test batch size is just unacceptable. I don't know how I could feel safe smoking anything that's on these shelves. How these were supposed to be temporary measures put in place to help get adult use product to market in an efficient manner, and we're over a year past that. We're coming up on 2 years past that. So why is that still in place? I do not understand that. And it seems like a simple action by the commission to lift that, since it was simply a temporary measure and not written directly into our regulations. I've also found that over the last few weeks, over the last 3 weeks since the last meeting, it seems that the CRC has a misunderstanding of terminology that's relevant to patients and their treatment. I've spent the last 3 weeks trying to get in touch with someone who can help me with fixing these issues, specifically in reference to RSO. RSO is a very specific and unique product. It's different than anything else available in the entirety of not just New Jersey, but the entire cannabis market in the entire country. There's nothing like it when it's processed properly. And what I'm finding on shelves is not, and it can be dangerous to people. I've spent the last 3 weeks leaving voicemails, calling, submitting incident reports, requesting meetings with you guys. I haven't even gotten so much as like automated emails back. I finally got an email back from an investigator who was very rude that I was trying to ask him questions and not file a product report. But the issue is that if he was to take the information of that product and go investigate it, based on the regulations that you guys impose, it is a safe and compliant product. But I am a patient, an experienced patient, and I have been calling for weeks now to tell you guys that that product is dangerous. And I can't get so much as a 30-second call back to even understand what you guys define that product as, so that way I can understand what I could suggest to you to change to have a better chance for patients to have safe access to their medicine. I'm quite literally out of options. What are we as patients supposed to do? We need to establish a better way for patients to have their questions answered and to have their concerns raised. The people that work in patient services have been very helpful in the ways that they can, but unfortunately what they can do is extremely limited. They have told me that they just deal with registering patients. Beyond that, it just gets passed to the correct department, who never gets back to me. What are we as patients supposed to do? I feel like I am completely out of options, and if you guys think that a digital card is going to fix patient numbers, I implore you to listen to patients and maybe establish an advisory board so that way we can help you to make better decisions for us. Thank you.
That was it for the speakers. I'm just going to go over the names that I called that didn't come up. Tim Kerr, Freddie Herrera, Amina Cure, Miriam Cure, Chris Goldstein, Connor Shaw, David Fetter, Erin Gore, Frank Vitolo, and Jara Soldevilla. Chairwoman Wenu, this will conclude the registered speakers we have for today's public meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Saeed, and thank you to everybody who shared their thoughts and their experiences with the commission. As a reminder, you can submit your comments to us in writing by going to our website, nj.gov/cannabis/meetings, and the deadline for submitting written comments for today is tomorrow at 5 o'clock. And those written comments will be shared with the board members and will be made public. This concludes the business that we do have before us today. Is there any new business for the board to consider?
Madam Chair, briefly?
Is it new business?
New business.
Oh, okay.
Yes, in light of what we just heard and in light of our internal discussions, I would just like to present to the board a motion to convene internally as a board with staff, with stakeholders, but by next meeting, we have on the agenda an option to consider decreasing the testing batch sizes by next meeting.
Sorry, can you clarify the motion?
The new business would be that the board takes up the option to decrease the testing batch sizes by next meeting.
So you're asking for the...
That's why I said we would convene, we would talk with staff, we would talk with stakeholders.
So if that's for an item for a future meeting, then we can talk about that internally, but is there new business for us to consider today?
I can reiterate that and propose that we address it right now. Then I would make a motion that we consider decreasing testing batch sizes. I think we have enough information. Well, I'll speak for myself. I would make a motion. I've read the recommendations from the different NJCBA committees. As has been stated and is accurate, I do believe many other states use 10 pounds as an appropriate batch size. I do believe there are states that use a higher batch size threshold, but I would make a motion right now that we decrease it to 10 pounds. And as has been stated, this is something that we have talked about. I know we've talked about it infrequently, but we have talked about this. We've received enough material. And I do really hear the patients. This was supposed to be temporary. And I think it is something that we can address appropriately. And so I would want to address that, and I do want to make that motion.
All right, so there's been a motion to decrease the testing batch size to 10 pounds. Before we get into discussion about on this motion, is there a second for the motion?
I'm sorry, I have questions for the ED before we make a motion. So how does this, can you explain?
So before a motion is actually discussed, it needs to be seconded.
Okay.
So if there is no second for this motion, then the motion dies. But once a second is made, then once a motion is seconded, then the floor is open for discussion. So again, is there a
Second.
There's a second. Seconded by Commissioner Nash to decrease the testing batch size to 10 pounds. Is there any discussion on this motion? Commissioner Nash.
Director Brown, can you explain again, we've had guidance in the past, why that 100 pounds was temporary and what the reasoning is behind it versus going back to 10 pounds?
Sure.
Thank you.
And I think it's pertinent to just provide an update of where we stand with our testing guidance, because that, something as detailed and intricate as guidance for testing, it's important to get lots of stakeholder feedback. And so our regulatory officer, our legal team have been talking to laboratories, getting their feedback on draft proposals for our own guidance here in New Jersey. I would anticipate that said guidance includes a reduction in batch size. We're very close to being able to issue that. I think, in order to consider something like that, I think it's just important to have our legal team weigh in and the folks who are actually working on that guidance. But I would, if I were a betting man, I would bet that we have a reduction in batch size in that guidance. There's been a lot of work on that, and so I just don't want that to, sort of be thrown to the wayside in a quick vote here. Rather, bring that with any recommended policy changes needed by the board at the appropriate time.
And when would you anticipate the guidance being rolled out?
Very soon.
Like a month? Next meeting?
Less than a month. I think less than a month we'll have something to share with, at least share with stakeholders for some feedback. But I think what I can do is work with the team to then respond through the chair as to when we can anticipate that guidance being issued. But we're very close. There's a lot of work that's been done, so I would just want any consideration of policy changes to happen in accordance with that process. And I think we may recommend some to that point. I think we need to. Dave was just showing me the regulations for batch sizes, and so I don't. The board can take some action. We may ask the board to take some action, but it's got to be action that works, right? And so that's got to work legally with what's on our regs, what's going to be in the testing guidance. So.
Well, I appreciate this because I think this this information needs to be shared with the public to understand, why we're doing what we're doing or not doing what we're doing. So, with that, thank you.
Is there any other discussion on this motion to reduce the testing batch size to 10 pounds?
Yes, Madam Chair, just very quickly. Given the new information that we found out from staff, thank you, Jeff, for that information. I definitely hear what the patients are saying and what the public is saying. We don't take any of those comments in vain. But I do feel, and I'm speaking to for myself, is that I need more information before we make a rush policy decision here.
Thank you, Commissioner Desotosa. Any other discussion? I think it is entirely too soon and entirely too rushed to try to do this on the whim at the end of a board meeting without having the information that staff have already been working on and have expressed would be ready for the board to consider in the near future. So I think it would be, in my eyes, I think it would be irresponsible for us to do this right now, again, on the whim. And so I'm not supportive of this measure.
Can I just briefly respond to that?
Commissioner Barker.
We've had, as been said, there has, this temporary guidance has been in place for years. We have heard at this point exhaustively from patients that it's not working. We've heard from stakeholders exhaustively. They have, the same stakeholders that we just mentioned have come before us and told us repeatedly at meetings that it's not working, that we should adjust. So to say that this is rushed, or to say that this is inappropriate, I find that very hard to reconcile with the stories that we hear month after month after month. People are crying to us. The people are crying to us, and we do have the information that we can use to make an informed decision. We have the information to make the right decision. And for what it's worth, we implemented a policy, and this has been said, I'm not saying anything that's not known, it's been said publicly. We base it off Maryland. Maryland has since adjusted and adopted, and we're still behind. And so I do think it's appropriate when you hear that story, when you see somebody shaking before you, should we convene? Absolutely, but I think for the 10-pound requirement, I think we have received enough information. I think we have talked to stakeholders, and I don't think that is inappropriate or rushed. I think it's actually consistent with the industry standard. And so I'll leave it there.
Thank you, Commissioner Barker. I will remind the board that we also heard from other stakeholders who took the opposite approach and actually encouraged increases to the testing batch size, and not to pick sides or take a position right now one way or the other, because again, I need more time and more conversations with our experts internally to make a determination on the best path forward for this policy. But I would be remiss if we did not recognize that we have heard from not just individuals today who came and shared their personal stories, for which I am grateful, but also those individuals who came to us beforehand, before today, and also encouraged us to increase the testing batch size. And so when we wrestle with policy positions from multiple parties that are inherently mutually exclusive, I think it is incumbent upon us to make sure that we are doing our due diligence internally and making sure that we are putting together the information all in one spot for all the board members to make an informed decision, and so that we can have confidence in the decisions that we make. So again, I'm not taking a position on this issue one way or another right now. I'm saying it is entirely too soon, and I'm not ready to make such a dramatic policy change at this point in time without having further conversations with our staff internally. Is there any further discussion from the board? Sir, I see your hand raised, but if you could just provide written comments, because our public comment period has closed. I'm so sorry.
But it's an important comment relative to.
I understand that, but
experts.
Sir, please, if you don't mind, just I wanted to recognize you and not ignore you as standing,
Right,
as
but I want to
standing
answer
there.
my questions as a
Sir,
patient. Do you
if
have
you-
a scientific
Sir.
advisor to help you guys make these expert decisions, these experts
Sir.
that you speak of? What are
Sir,
they?
sir, please submit your comments, any additional comments that you have in writing to us, and we can approve, we can respond accordingly. We're not gonna
You
respond
guys
to it in this
are wasting my
fashion.
time. Thank you for wasting more of it.
Is there any further conversation or any further discussion from the board on this motion to decrease the testing batch size to 10 pounds? If there's no further discussion, Mr. Saidi, can you please call the vote?
Commissioner Barker?
Aye.
Commissioner Dustin Koso?
No.
Commissioner Nash?
So I seconded this motion, however, hearing the encouraging news that this is near and that you have included stakeholders and other parties for guidance, I am going to say no, but I am encouraged to hear more about this soon. Thank you.
Vice Chair Delgado?
No.
Chairwoman Wainwright?
No.
The motion fails.
You guys have failed patients.
Is there any other new business for the commission to consider today? If there is no further business for us, is there a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn, Madam Chairwoman.
I second that. Moved by Vice Chair Delgado and seconded by Commissioner Del Cid Coso. Is there any discussion on this motion to adjourn? Hearing none, all those in favor of adjourning say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Are there any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion passes. The time is 2:28 and we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.